Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel, and Brad Garlinghouse, what a brilliant, insightful man. Brad Garlinghouse, Ripple CEO. Do you guys remember a little bit earlier this year? Here's a headline from Cointelegraph. This is February 5th, 2020. Crypto goes IPO. Ripple could lead the blockchain industry's charge. And this article's all about Ripple going public. Which, by the way, of course, to this point, that it's not like it's actually been officially announced that this is, happening with this specific date or time, whatever. But Brad Garlinghouse has made it very clear it's a coming. And he also stated that you can expect all sorts of blockchain companies to be going public much sooner than later. So, what's some of the biggest news to come out? Well, Coinbase is allegedly going to be going public. We've got a story from Reuters, and I'll be running through the specifics, so it sounds to me like this Brad Garlinghouse chap sounds like he kind of knows what he's talking about right here. But before we go any further, if you would please delicately tap that like button, I would certainly appreciate the support. You're under no obligation to do so, but if you would, I'd definitely appreciate it. Also, go ahead and subscribe to the Moon Lambo channel if you've not done so. Because if you do, we could be friends. Maybe even best friends. We'll just see where this roller coaster ride takes us. So as a quick refresher here, by the way, this is gigantic. It's like the longest article I think I've ever seen from Cointelegraph about Ripple's IPO. I just want to do this as a quick refresher, and then we'll get to the Coinbase stuff here, but take a look. 2020 could be the year that crypto companies step forward and take the plunge into going public. As the biggest players in the industry cautiously watch for opportunities to gain regulatory approval, Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse used the prestigious Davos World Economic Forum Summit to announce that the firm was considering an initial public offering later on in the year. Yes, he was at Davos. This is back before the world came to an end and you were only allowed to be inside your own home. Thanks, COVID. It's a good time here. They've got the quote here, though. So, yeah, this is it right here. In a talk at the World Economic Forum sponsored by Ripple, Garlinghouse opined that IPOs will be more prevalent in both the crypto and blockchain space in the coming year. More importantly, the CEO also strongly hinted that Ripple itself would be one such company daring to go public in 2020. So here's the actual quote from Brad Garlinghouse. In the next 12 months, you'll see IPOs in the crypto/blockchain space. We're not going to be the first, and we're not going to be the last, but I expect us to be on the leading side. It's a natural evolution for our company. And so that's why upon hearing that, it became very clear to me that even though, of course, the date wasn't set for this and anything technically could happen, it seemed very clear to me that it's just an absolute certainty. Ripple's going public. Okay, this is not the first time they'd actually talked about it, but man, it'd probably been a good year and a half before I'd heard anything out of Brad Garlinghouse's mouth about the concept of Ripple going public. And at the time, a couple of years ago at this point, I just remember him stating, it was in some sort of video, I can't remember what it was, but he said, he essentially was just kind of stating that, okay, eventually down the road, that's probably something we'd be interested in, but it's just not on the radar right now. And so for him to come out to make this statement, which is much stronger, I thought, okay, well, this likely would happen this year, if not probably next year, but no matter what, it seems crystal clear that it's coming here. It's definitely coming. And so take a look at this piece now from Reuters. It's titled Exclusive. Cryptocurrency exchange Coinbase readies stock market listing sources. And funny enough, this actually is not an IPO, but I'll get into that in just a second. So Coinbase Inc. It's just Coinbase going public. But anyway, Coinbase Inc. has initiated preparations for a stock market listing that could come as early as this year, making it the first major U.S. cryptocurrency exchange to go public, according to people familiar with the matter. The listing would need the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission's blessing. Were the securities watchdog to greenlight it, it would represent a landmark victory for cryptocurrency advocates vying for its endorsement. And I don't know what the freaking problem would be. As far as the SEC is concerned, there's some sort of reason not to greenlight it, okay, fine. But if it has anything to do with the fact that it's working directly with cryptocurrencies. To me, that's kind of silly, because this doesn't have anything to do with the SEC determining, from a classification perspective, like what cryptocurrencies are. It's not like in the case of XRP. It's not like they're stating that XRP is or is not a security. That's not what's going on here. So I don't know if they just wrote that in the article to make it seem more like, woo, is this actually going to happen? It's a big deal. I'm not convinced. I've never heard anything along the lines of like a cryptocurrency exchange. Because functionally, whether if you're an exchange, whether it's for stocks or crypto, it doesn't matter. You're just an exchange. What the hell does it matter, right? But anyway, while the SEC has said some cryptocurrencies may be considered securities and be subject to regulation, it has yet to issue specific guidance on the vast majority of virtual coins. Many cryptocurrencies have struggled to win legitimacy with those in the investment community and the general public, who are wary of their speculative nature and potential for money laundering, which is silly, childish stuff. I mean, I don't care if it's a stock, you're still speculating, right? It's kind of silly here. As far as money laundering, oh my gosh, if you want to do that, you should probably just use the United States dollar. Come on, man. But anyway, Coinbase, which was valued at more than $8 billion in its latest private fundraising round in 2018, is exploring going public via a direct listing instead of a traditional initial public offering, or IPO for short, later this year. One of the sources said. And so that means that Coinbase, not quite as valuable, at least according to the last count, not as valuable as Ripple, because Coinbase, $8 billion company, and Ripple is $10 billion. So suck it, Coinbase. Again, no, I'm kidding. Coinbase is cool. I've got no beef with Coinbase. I know some people in the XRP community still are kind of bitter about Coinbase not listing XRP sooner, but I personally never felt that way. And so I was kind of curious, though, because I wasn't familiar, just not something I'd ever researched, but I wasn't familiar with the concept of a direct listing over a traditional initial public offering. So I looked it up, and where was it anyway? Oh, here we go. Yeah, I just looked it up on tdameritrade.com. And so a direct public offering, this is what we'll be talking about, also known as a direct listing, is a way for companies to become publicly traded without a bank-backed initial public offering. And then they state it's also important that you understand the risks and opportunities of a direct listing and to do your own research before investing. Super duper. So, just fun little detail there. I was not familiar with that. Again, just like I said, nothing I needed to look into in the past anyway. Next piece now, take a look at this from Daily Hodl. CNBC analyst John Najarian reveals Bitcoin and crypto portfolio, says wealthy investors want to keep Bitcoin a secret for now. Hush, hush. CNBC contributor and options trader John Najarian says he believes most institutional investors will work to stay under the radar as they accumulate Bitcoin. In a new interview with Morgan Creek Digital co-founder Anthony Pompliano, he's probably my favorite Bitcoin maxi. I actually do like the guy, but he's definitely he's a maximalist. But anyway, Najarian unveils his personal crypto portfolio and says he's a big believer in Bitcoins. Here's a quote: "On a monthly basis, I probably have between 5% and 10% in digital assets, and almost all of it's Bitcoin. A little Ethereum, but mostly Bitcoin. I've got a little Litecoin, a little Stellar, but really, I'm about Bitcoin. I'm there because guys like yourself, guys like Peter Briger, I guess, B-R-I-G-R, I don't know, over at Fortress really got me psyched about it. Yes, indeed, it's worth getting all riled up about a cryptocurrency that's not actually being used for anything." Good times, man. And this is the rest of the quote, "I first got involved at about $300, realized I didn't know what the hell I was doing, didn't get involved again until it was closer to $1,700. So I missed an awful lot of that, and I didn't sell when it got over $18,000 or $19,000. I didn't liquidate. I would have looked like a genius if I did." Yeah, you can never know where the top's going to be, but it was really clear to me, I will say this, even when I was just entering the space, November of 2017, and just getting to understand what all these different cryptocurrencies were and all this, it was very clear to me at the time that the crypto asset class was in a major bubble. And I even spoke about that publicly on the Twitters Just like I remember talking about it. Maybe it was late 2017. I was publicly talking about it, or maybe early 2018. But there are all sorts of people talking about this idea that cryptocurrencies, there's no way it can be in a bubble. You're talking about an asset class that's under $1 trillion, and I kept going back to it. I was like, no, it doesn't have to do with that. You can have a bubble at any price point. It's not like you have to meet a certain price threshold for it to be possible to be actually considered a bubble. What we were talking about, what I was talking about anyway, is just the concept that you've got this asset class that was just supremely overvalued, and it was all propped up on hype and no actual utilization whatsoever. And so I didn't know if it was going to keep running, and what if Bitcoin did go to 40 or 50 or 60 or 100,000? It's like I'm not going to pretend like I knew what the top was going to be, but you could already tell by how the chart looked. You didn't even have to know it was a cryptocurrency. If you just looked at the chart and it was unlabeled, you'd be like, oh, that's a chart of a bubble. It doesn't matter. It absolutely was, and it did come crashing back down. But interestingly enough, at this point, crypto asset class is not in a bubble. So anyway, we shall see where this goes. But that is it for this video. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything, because of anything that I say or write, that would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo!